still top 10 sexiest men alive on camera. So I don't care what you say, man.
There's no doubt that he's a playmaker. We're not doubting that. It's the fatigue. It's the amount of, wear and tear on his body. NCAA, the new game, you got the wear and tear and your arm yellow, your chest red. That boy whole body, his forehead going to be red. Come on, man.
I'm going to tell him this with my good eye. Look at this good eye, Dabo. Look at that right there. Brother, you either need to get with the times or get left behind.
Florida opens the season by getting curb stomped by the number 19 team in the country. So now, do you believe that Billy Napier is on the hot seat? Hold up, before you get to watching this video, let me talk to you for a second. Hit that bell down below and subscribe to the Fitz Take podcast YouTube channel so you'll know when every episode is dropping or if something has been posted on this page. Also, be sure to follow me and Elijah on our social media platforms. They will be linked down in the description. Now back to the episode. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into another episode of the Fitz Take podcast. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, but you can always call me Fitz because we family on this end. Alongside my guy, Elijah Nixon. He got his hater blockers on.
Hey, man, I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. I'm human, okay, people? I'm human. I'm going to show you why I got my shades on, all right? Bow, you see that right there? It's called a sty. If you don't know what it is, Google it. But I don't care. I'm still top 10 sexiest men alive on camera. So I don't care what you say, man. But yeah, that's why I got these shades on, as you can see. I don't care, though. Put the shades right back on because it's distracting to some people, including me.
So now that we done addressed that, he don't want to answer no more questions about it. I ain't got nothing else to say about it. Straight up, man. Ladies and gentlemen, today's episode, man, we have a lot of college football to talk about in this one. A lot of situations that happen in the football world as well with the opening weekend of college football. We've got UL, we've got LSU. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the major headlines that happened there in the college football world, and then we'll have our final Fitz take there on the back half. So let's go ahead and get things started with our first play, which is Louisiana beating Grambling State 40-10 to open the season. Quarterback Ben Woolridge throwing for 308 yards, 3 touchdowns. Harvey Broussard had 4 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown. And then also Caleb Cabote, the brother of Jacob Cabote, who was there on the Saints, who was actually there at the game last night and saw his little brother had a pick six there in the game as well. So, Elijah, we were roaming the sidelines, interacting with the guys. What was your takeaways from what you saw in this game?
Honestly, I saw a composed team. I saw a team that I think that, as long as they keep their composure, they could make a run for the Sun Belt. I mean, I feel like I disrespected these guys. I know we asked what the over-under, the total will be, and I said it will be 14 points. And for them to win 30 in the first game, I think that was expected, but it wasn't. I didn't expect it in the fashion that they did it. The first play of the game was an aggressive play call, play action down to Harvey Broussard from I'm going to say Chandler Fields, from Ben Woolridge. And this guy found him for 50 yards, and after that, their offense was going from there. And I think that what I seen yesterday from Ben, just taking whatever the defense gave him, he took his shots whenever he needed to. He dink and dunk whenever he needed to. He ran and protected himself to slide whenever he needed to. And I think that's what was awesome. Of course, it's just game one. It was kinks there, defensively, offensively. There was some kinks that was, they could polish up headed into week 2 as they go to Kennesaw State next week. But I would say this was a impressive week 1 from last year, especially what I seen against Northwestern State. I feel like this team was more complete, under poised. They were so calm, and it was letting the game come to them. And that's why I think that this team can be something special in the future, especially this year with the Sun Belt.
Absolutely. If I remember correctly, I think I said that it was going to be a
Yeah.
Point victory or something like that. I think I said that just because, with the amount of experience that these guys had, there was no doubt that they were going to be able to click. I think the only thing that they wish they were able to do early on was to get the run game clicking a little bit more. There in the second half, they were able to pop off some bigger runs. Zylan Perry had a few runs in there. Elijah Bill Davis, Draylon Washington had the first touchdown of the season for the Cajuns there in that first drive after that 50-yard pass to Harvey Broussard. And like, we said in last week's episode, or maybe 2 episodes, I think it was, that the run game sets up everything else. And the reason that UL was able to run that shot play as the first play of the game is because we were talking about it. Ladies and gentlemen, we were taking bets. I was like, I guarantee you the first play of the game is going to be stretch. Because if you look at it on film, us being media members covering this team, we know what style of play that they like to do things. And UL is the type of team they want to go downhill. They're going to hit you with a few gap schemes. They're going to run stretch here and there. And so to hit them with the play action, I was shooting the game. So looking at it through this eyepiece, the way that I'm looking at it is I see Ben extend his arm out. And so I'm always late to the ball when it's a handoff. So I naturally was waiting to see if he still had it. And so when I saw that he had it, I said, oh, he about to do something with this thing. And I seen he kind of cocked his shoulder like this, followed the ball through the air, and there's Harvey Broussard there down the field for a 50-yard play. And we asked the guys there in post game a couple of times, is this the style of play that y'all want to be? Do y'all want to be an aggressive offense? And, Ben got to the podium and said that that's what you dream of as a quarterback. You want to be a part of an explosive offense. You want to be a part of a, offense that is able to run the football, that's able to set up everything else that they have. I think offensively they were able to do just about everything they wanted. Cleaning up their run game early on, getting it to flow a little bit better early on is probably the main thing that they wanted to do. But big shout outs to Caleb Cabote, man, getting a pick six there, being able to have that opportunity, defensively, when you're able to get turnovers and give your offense an extra possession. And then also when you're able to just turn it into points, that is always something that you got to tip your cap to, because yes, your job is to stop them, but when you can turn that into actual points or put your offense in position to go and get more points, then you're doing your job above and beyond at that point. So, what did you think the defense did the best when it came to going against Grambling?
Bend don't break, because Grambling had plays where they got down the field, and of course they was striking distance to score a couple of times, but they never broke. Especially with Capote's interception, that drive alone just showed it, because Grambling was moving the ball on that drive, but then they just kept their composure. Like I said, Capote jumps the he really sat there because he threw it right at him. Throws the ball right at him. He takes it to the house, 50 yards, touchdown. So it was like, that's what I really liked about it. I mean, there are some things that, again, like we said, it was only week one, so they still have some stuff to get under control. But what I like is that they never broke. They never broke at all. They never broke character. One guy wasn't trying to be that guy. It was everybody just saying 11 hats to the ball or playing their keys. That's what I really liked about the defense. So with this complete team win, because it was a very complete team win, I just want to see what can happen coming to week two, of how can they come together again. But with that being said, Fitz, a lot of things surprises us, right? It's only week one, but what took you by surprise in this game for the Cajuns?
I was not necessarily surprised, but it was more of a confirmation of being able to see how they were able to disperse the ball everywhere to their receivers, and that they were able to go out and make plays. Harvey had catches, Tavion Smith had catches, Terrence Carter had catches, Jacob Bernard had a few catches here and there. Just the way they were able to space the ball out. UL has never really been the type of team where it's like, okay, this is the guy that we're going to throw the ball to 80 times this season. Everyone kind of gets 30 to 40 receptions if they can do it like that. And just the way that they were able to be efficient in a lot of their drives and going down the field, getting the ball into their playmakers' hands and just letting them get out in space and do the rest. When you can have the confidence to say the first play of our season offensively, we're going to take a shot play and see what we can get. Coach Dez joked in post game saying, he wished Harvey was a little bit faster. It would have been a touchdown. To have that confidence to even say, like, all right, bro, if they're in man to man and you beat your guy one on one, I need you to just go out and make a play. That is a vote of confidence. That is a nod of confidence that you're giving and invoking into these receivers, these pass catchers, that they're just going to be able to continue to build on as the season goes on. And they're just going to get better as they go along because they're going to get more chemistry built because now they have some game action under their belt. And so now that is going to allow them to have even bigger games. So now Harvey might not have a 4 for 76. He might have a 6 for 120, or, Terrence Carter could have a 5 for 85. You just never know when you have all of these guys that have experience, that are used to the flow of the offense. And as they build on it week to week, each week is not going to be the same person because defenses are going to start watching film. They're going to start game planning. Defenses are going to start doing things like clouding coverage towards Harvey, or they're going to, try to figure out a way to take him out of your game plan. Or if they realize that you're running the football really well, they're going to load the box up. So you're going to have to be able to do multiple things in order to keep your offense rolling. And so, like, the way that receiver core, man, like that group was just able to come out, catch the ball for Ben when they needed to. I think Ben was 25 of 33, so that was like 75% completion. So when he was putting it on them, they was making the catches, and there was very few drops that happened throughout the game. But it was a lot of places where those guys were able to go out and just make plays. What was your biggest surprise?
The first play call. I mean, that
Yep.
play action pass, that bomb down the field. Like we said, we was talking about what a first play call would be, and for him to do something like that, be aggressive to go over the top and find Harvey Broussard, I think that to me could set the tone of what they can be. We're not going to sit back and let this game go away because we're gonna attack it the right way. And I think that's what I liked about what Coach Desimo said in the presser from Ben and from Harvey. They're gonna attack what they can, and I appreciate that. I know when it happened, me and you looked at each other like, oh, but we looked at each other in awe because of honestly, they have explosive weapons, like you just said. They have a lot of explosive weapons. So what they're gonna do with them this year, I can't wait to see what goes on from week 2 and on because boy, that was exciting. That was really exciting. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was exciting.
That's what you want to have. Louisiana will now go into next week facing off with Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State dropped their week 1 game. It was to UTSA. They lost 28-16. Looking at the money line, UL has opened as a 15-point favorite out of the gate. They are a 15-point favorite. I'm not trying to put no rat poison out there, anything, nothing like that. I'm not trying to put any bulletin board material. I don't want to end up on Kennesaw State's hype video for this week. But it should just be interesting to see what UL will do. It's going to be their first road test. They're going to, get on a plane and fly out there to Kennesaw, Georgia, and be able to match up with the Kennesaw State Owls. I believe it is that is their mascot. So that should be a good one. That matchup will be on September the 7th. That Saturday. It is a 6:00 kickoff on ESPN Plus. So we will have our eyes out on that one. All right, take number 2 now. It is making some forward progress as LSU opens the season with an L. The beginning L that is in LSU. They start with it out in Vegas against the USC Trojans, falling 27-20. That would be the final of that contest. Miller Moss, the quarterback for USC, was absolutely phenomenal. He threw for 378 yards. He completed 27 of his 36 passes. He only threw 1 touchdown, but he was efficient in the way that he played. Brian Kelly, as a head coach, is 0-3 as a LSU head coach in season openers. LSU is now 0-5 within the last few seasons in season openers. The last time that's happened was from 91 to 95. Elijah, we talked about this potentially being a, medium to high scoring game. I think our predictions weren't too far off, but they were in the opposite direction. So what do you say about USC getting the upset against LSU?
Um, I wasn't expected. I mean, we both had LSU winning, but I didn't expect a lot of things. I didn't expect this to be a defensive battle. I felt like this was more of a defensive battle than an offensive battle. Um, Again, man, with LSU, I just think they hurt themselves a lot more. I think they were. I don't want to say they were the better team because the better team won. I mean, you know how that goes, but they just hurt themselves. Penalties. They got a big stop, and then Major Burns takes off his helmet, and that puts them back instead of having good field position after that fourth down. And then with the illegal formation between Kyron and Williams, these two guys it's just knocking themselves out of the loop, man. And that's LSU's not out of the playoff race. So by far, this the first game of the season. But again, it's just what I respect about it is LSU plays top tier talent first game of the season. It's just that it bites them in the butt sometimes because you're playing against those top teams. You have to limit your mistakes, and back to back, well, 3 straight years, they didn't limit their mistakes and they fell short because of it.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the penalties were a big thing, and just kind of the emotional fortitude that you need to have, the composure that you need to hold for yourself when you're playing these games. Obviously, Kyron, he scored a touchdown. That video is viral everywhere of, he celebrated and he does the little gun point signal and everything like that. And I get it, man. You in your zone, you feeling it and all that stuff. But he knows just as well as anybody else that sometimes there are certain things that you just can't do, because then that sets you up where I believe USC got either a field goal off of that, or they got good field position, one of the two. That something came of that in that situation. Every time that you do that, you're putting up a 50-50 chance of putting your team in a bad position. But also, I just felt like the team didn't slam the door when they had opportunities to close the game out. They go into I believe it was the third quarter, and I think it was after Aaron Anderson scored a touchdown. I think they had the lead then, and you're just not able to shut the door completely. We mentioned about how Kyron Lacey needed to have a big game. He had it in the first half, but then there in the second half, he only got 2 targets. Just like in the early parts of the game, he was a part of the game plan. He was getting the football if there were, because USC was playing a lot of off coverage to start off, but he was running a lot of just hitch routes, quick slants and things like that, and just getting out in space and making plays happen. What happened to him? Just as much as you needed to balance things out and run the football, you take what the defense gives you. If they're going to give you an opportunity, that if they're playing 10 to 15 yards off your receiver, tell that man to run a quick hitch, let him get out in space. I think Garrett Nussmeier played just about as well as he possibly could as a quarterback. Probably the only mistake that he truly made, or miscue that he had, was the little flat route that they had to Aaron Anderson that he missed out on there late in the fourth quarter, and he wasn't able to connect it to him. But that's a hard throw to make. You got a fast receiver flaring out to the sidelines. You don't want to put too much air under it because now the defender can come and pick it off. You don't want to throw it right on him because then it makes it harder for him to catch it. So he was trying to almost throw it back on his inside to where he can spin around and catch it upfield. And it's just, that's a hard, thing to make. So that probably was one of the only things that he really truly messed up on in terms of the situation. I thought that he was, methodical in the way that he ran the offense. I thought, he didn't make a whole lot of mistakes. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is not a moment to overreact for this team, none whatsoever. But I do think that when they look back on it, they're gonna be like, "Dang, this is one that we could have possibly had. We could have wished we had this back." Now, when you look at the defensive side of the ball, there were moments when they played well. They held USC in the spots that they needed to, but overall, on that last drive, that 2-minute drive to kind of close the game out, what did you think really happened for the defense there in that situation?
I think honestly, I just think they got fatigued. I'm gonna keep it honest with you. I really think they got fatigued because they were playing to their keys. They was stopping them in short downs and distances and things of that nature. I just think they got fatigued, man. That's what I really think that happened. Because I think the defense actually played as well as they could, man. I mean, you give a couple penalties up. I mean, that's for granted. Both sides were, especially with the young corners that LSU had. I thought they played very well. I just think they just got fatigued, man. I just think that it was just too much on those young guys' shoulders, and they just couldn't beat themselves out of the penalties. But defensively, I got to tip my hat off to it. I thought the Tigers played well in spots. The defensive lineman was batting down balls. The linebackers was doing well. The secondary played as well as they could. That's all it is, man.
Yeah. How much of this is not necessarily going to be a hindrance to them, but when they look back on their resume, obviously with having more teams available in the college football playoffs with 12, do you think this will be a blemish on their resume when they look back? Because, what do you think it will become of this? And when you look back on the back half of the season?
Tough. You would think that back in the old days, I would say yeah. But now, because everybody has to play everybody, and the SEC is tough as it is, because LSU still got to play Texas, LSU still got to play Ole Miss, LSU still got to play Alabama. So at the end of the day, they still have to play tough teams. So it doesn't really affect them to me as much. I think this was just big for USC because I know USC is already at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to rankings right now. I think it was a bigger win for them than a bigger loss for LSU. So again, I just think that LSU can bounce back from this, but it just hurts because it's not like they weren't in this ball game and they hurt themselves today. So, what about you, man? Do you think that I don't know if you think this, but is it end all be all for LSU?
No, absolutely not. I mean, the season is long. You got 11 more games ahead of you. Like you said, they're playing the SEC, so they're going to play more top 25 teams. But what's going to be important is just that when you don't get off to a great start, is always about the bounce back. Obviously the next couple of games that they got, they play Nichols and then they go right into playing an SEC team and then UCLA. So you have an opportunity to kind of lick your wounds a little bit and salvage things and get back in the win column when you play Nichols at home. So you'll feel good about that with a home opener. But then from there, you got to start taking care of business and you got to get back on track because as you go through the middle part of the season, you got Ole Miss, you got Texas A&M, you got Alabama, Florida on the back half, a Vanderbilt team that got an upset victory not too long ago, so there's no telling what that'll turn into. And then you close the season out against Oklahoma. So right now, this loss is going to hurt them a lot. They're feeling some type of way right now, I'm sure. But ultimately, what they just need to do is just clean up the mistakes that they made, realize that they can't have penalties, they can't shoot themselves in the foot. They have to get better at running the football. They had a lot of moments where John Emery pops off a few runs, Josh Williams popped off a few runs. You have to gain that running game consistently because Garrett, as well as he can throw the football, if he can have a run game to complement with what he's doing, the play action passes are going to open up, and then that you kind of opens up your playbook even more so there in the future. So, like we said, LSU will come back home and host Nicholls State there on Saturday, September the 7th. It'll be a 6:30 kickoff. It'll be on ESPN Plus and SEC Network Plus. And we'll see if the Tigers can be able to bounce back from this week one loss. All right, take number 3. It's time to fly out. We had a lot of college football going over the weekend. There were a lot of headlines that came from the weekend. The first one is Colorado beating North Dakota State 31-26. And in that victory, wide receiver slash DB slash athlete Travis Hunter finished the game with 7 receptions for 132 yards and 3 touchdowns. He only allowed 3 catches for 18 yards on defense. He had 55 snaps, or I think it might have been 43 or 55. I've been seeing some different numbers there, but 40 to 50 snaps on offense, 69 snaps on defense. And I saw RG3 get on Twitter and he said that he believes that Travis Hunter can play on both sides of the ball full time in the NFL. So that is the question. Elijah, do you believe that Travis Hunter can be a full time starter playing offense and defense once he gets to the NFL?
Absolutely not. That's a different ball game, bro. That's a different ball game. I mean, for him to go to him to do that at the college level is impressive. But we've seen guys do that with the Charles Woodsons of the world. And he could be a punt returner and a DB and things of that nature. But uh, no, he can't do both sides. And I'm gonna be honest with you because you gotta center your attention one day. One day you gotta center your attention. You can't be offense one day and defense one day because it's gonna mess you up mentally and football to me is 80% mental, 20% physical. So he has to find his way being mentally. And I'm not saying right now he don't have to do that. I think right now, as long as Dion plays him the right way and he get all those reps and get the stuff that he needs to help them win ball games, I'm cool with that. But when it comes to the next level, it's only one side. It's only one side, man, and you can't do both. But I would say, for me, he's extremely talented, and I think Travis. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go on a limb and say this. Travis Hunter is going to be the reason of what Colorado can be or what they won't be. No disrespect to Shador, no disrespect to any of those guys on that football team. But I think that it's Travis Hunter will be the guy what they can do because he makes plays on both sides of the football. Shador can actually put it anywhere, and he has a catch radius as a receiver, which is impressive. And on the defensive side of the ball, he could lock somebody down and still have that ball hawking ability on defense. So I enjoy that about him. But again, I don't see him doing on the next level. He will get burnt out, and I think mentally it will take a toll of hindering what he can be because at the end of the day, you have to center your attention on something. And that's what he has to do. He has to center his attention on whether offense or defense, and that's what I got.
Yeah, man, I have to agree with you on that. That's a hard ask for someone that on the collegiate level. This is a week after playing North Dakota State, who is a very good FCS team. But when you look at that team as a whole, Travis Hunter was probably not lined up across someone that is the same caliber of player as he is. When he goes to the NFL, he's going to be lined up against dudes that's just like him. I couldn't imagine seeing him line up to cover CeeDee Lamb and then turn around and go and have to run routes in front of Trayvon Diggs. That's tough. Having to beat that press and then press CD in the same game. That's a hard ask to do a guy. I do believe what he can do is he can, pick a side and still be brought in sparing situations. If you want him to be a receiver, let him be your guy and then bring him in as a nickel corner. Put him in the slot on third downs, have him to come in, bring in special packages for him where maybe he can blitz or do different things like that. And then vice versa. If you want him to be your main cornerback, then you can allow him similar to what they did with Dion back in his playing days. You can, put him in as receiver, give him a little pop pass on a jet sweep or, let him run a little bubble screen or something like that. But as far as saying that you're going to have 50 snaps on offense, 50 plus snaps on defense, 100 snaps, and to do that for 17 weeks plus, if you're talking about winning a championship, bro, now you're talking about well over 2,000 to 3,000 snaps in a season. And that's just the amount of wear and tear that is. The game of football is not a contact sport. It is a collision sport because every single play, you basically get into a car wreck. Every single play, there's an opportunity for you to get your head knocked off, for somebody to run you over, for somebody to knock you on your butt. There are multiple opportunities for that to happen into a game. And so to say that you can – now, I'm not saying that he's not a high-class athlete. He is. There are a lot of high-class athletes. But at the end of the day, you got to pick and choose where you're going to be at. And that's why I believe Travis Hunter will not be a full-time two-way player. I think that he can do it in terms of coming in sparingly. He can come in and give you something on offense. He can give you something on defense. He can make plays. There's no doubt that he's a playmaker. We're not doubting that. It's the fatigue. It's the amount of, wear and tear on his body. NCAA, the new game, you got the wear and tear and your arm yellow, your chest red. That boy whole body, his forehead going to be red. Come on, man. I'm going to wear that boy out, and then you also think about the fact that because he's such a good player, he's probably going to be on a bad team. So if you put him on a bad team and you're asking him to do both, you're asking him to be the savior, the chances of him getting hurt are even higher. And then if he gets hurt, now there's a possibility that he could not be the same player. And if his production goes down, his value goes down, and now all of a sudden people are calling him a bust. But all it will have been is overusing a player that is a special talent that you can't just be out here going all willy-nilly and saying, go out here for 50 snaps, go over here for 40 snaps. Like, nah, you almost going to have to game plan there. Like, all right, if we give Travis 15 snaps on offense, then we'll let him do the rest on defense. Or if we do vice versa, you got a game plan around that. Where can we put Travis in where he can be best and make the most plays when we put him in? So I don't know. He could definitely prove both of us wrong. It has been yet to be a guy to ever do it. I don't know. I mean, in this new day and age, anything is possible. But the way the game of football is, man, athletes are getting stronger and faster every single year. The 40-time record is somebody is breaking it every single year. These linemen are getting bigger and faster equally together every single year. So I'm going to find it very hard to believe that Travis Hunter is going to be able to do that on both sides of the ball. We shall see. Um, Staying in
But
the
I
college
got a
football
question.
world, what you got?
I got a question. Where is he? And on the next level, where do you see him? Offensively or defensively on the next level?
It's kind of a toss up, man. It almost changes on a week to week basis. 7 catches, 132 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's the number one receiver. That's a guy. That's your dude. But then also, he had just 18 yards allowed and only 3 catches. That's a shutdown corner. So I think it's based on what the team needs are going to be. Whoever drafts him, what they need. If you're looking for a number one receiver, then you put him at receiver. If you need a shutdown corner or somebody to complement a veteran corner that you already have, then you line him up at cornerback. But it's hard to say that you're truly gonna have him in a position where a team is needing a corner and a receiver, and they say let's get Travis Hunter and he'll fill in the gaps. I don't think that's how that's gonna work. I think it will be let's get a receiver, let's get Travis. We need a receiver, or we need a corner. Let's get Travis, and then we can build up everything else around him. What you think?
I think, bro, as much as I like him at receiver, I think good defensive backs is hard to find, and I think that's where he can be. I mean, look where the league is going now. You got 3 wide receiver sets, a bunch, and I think that he has he has great ball skills, but he has great ball skills of picking off a couple of guys, reading the quarterback, and he has a catch radius as well as a receiver. But what it is I think Travis could change the game defensively. I know we looking at Sauce Gardner to do that and stuff like that. I think Travis can change the game defensively, and um, I just see him better as a DB man. I like him. I like him at both at Colorado, of course. But like I said, when he has to choose, I love him at defensive back. I'm not gonna lie,
No
I
doubt
love him at
about it.
defensive
Now you got that right. Colorado plays next week against Nebraska. Nebraska is currently a 7-point favorite. They are set to play on September 7th at 6:30 on NBC. We'll see how many snaps Travis Hunter gets then. Let's stay in the college football world where the Clemson Tigers dropped their opener to the number one overall Georgia Bulldogs, 34-3. In that game, the Tigers were only able to muster up a single field goal, and it came in the third quarter. With that being said, there's been a lot of disparity around Dabo Sweeney on how he does not dabble in the portal. He does not get players out of the portal. But when it comes to being competitive, when it comes to staying relevant in the playoff picture, Elijah, do you believe it's time for Dabo to dabble in the portal, or is the game just simply passed him by and it's time for maybe Clemson to start preparing some kind of exit plan? What do you think?
I'm gonna tell him this with my good eye. Look at this good eye, Dabble. Look at that right now, brother. You either need to get with the times or get left behind. There is no way you can sit here and tell me that you think that you cannot go into this transfer portal with all that talent, proven talent, and say that I can win games with these guys that I just saw on my roster. And don't get me offense, you probably recruited very well, but there's also some guys in this talent in this transfer portal that you already know is proven that you can grab from. Clemson, I was there. I seen you guys have the best years of your lives when I was out in South Carolina. It's a new time now. It's
Yep.
a very new time now. I don't care how much you like it or you hate it. Nick Saban got out the business for one reason, and that was one of the reasons. Dabble, if you don't really like it, then you need to get out the business for that reason as well. Because at the end of the day, this game and your job comes down to wins and losses. Now you can sit here and say, why I didn't have the most talented team, that's your fault. That ain't my fault. That ain't anybody else's fault but yours. Because you have an opportunity to go into that transfer portal. Now, a lot of people have different opinions on how the transfer portal should be used, da 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 da. But you better use it to the best of your advantage. Because at the end of the day, your job comes down to wins and losses. It don't come down to how much complaining you could do, how much whining and crying you could do, or how much of a good person you are. Good people get fired. You about to Good people get fired, bro. And you could be next. So at the end of the day, I'm saying this one last time. Your job comes down to wins and losses, brother. I really hope that that Georgia game opened your eyes and said, I need to look at stuff because I don't think you're on the hot seat yet this year. But I think that you should look into stuff where you have to get with this time, get with this program, get with the stuff that's going on to make this program successful again. Because it's not like you're far off in the ACC. You can compete with the Miamis and those guys, but you have to buckle down, swallow your pride, and enter that transfer portal with those kids, man.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I don't think it's time for Dabo to be fired, none whatsoever. That's just a part of what I posed there in the question. I do think that he has to get with the times because what is happening now in the game, and it's an advantage and a disadvantage. You're recruiting guys, high school seniors, and you're telling them to come in and either play right away or to redshirt and become a redshirt freshman or a redshirt sophomore and then be able to compete. While other teams are saying, I need a receiver. Let me go get this boy from UTSA. Let me go get this boy from Liberty. Let me go get this boy from Coastal Carolina. Let me go get him from Northwestern State. Give him some racks. Come up here and he's going to play with me. And he's already a proven talent. And instead of getting a redshirt freshman and starting him at receiver, now I have a junior and he's proven that he can go out and can play. And now all I have to do is just build the offense and set him in there. He already understands a route tree. He already understands how to beat a press. He's already faced off against college cornerbacks. He already understands what it takes to be a collegiate player because that's another part of building the program. When you get high school guys, the first thing that you got to do is you have to teach them how to be a college player. I saw plenty of guys that I played with that did not make it simply for the fact that they could not maintain the schedule. Not everybody is built to wake up at 5 a.m., to go to a team meeting, to go to weights, to go to an 8 o'clock class, to go to a 9 o'clock class, to go to a 10:15 class, to go eat lunch. Make sure you eat. Go to meetings, lift weights, go out to practice for 3 hours. Get out of practice, go to study hall, get those mandatory study hall hours, and then turn around and do it all again the next day. On top of keeping at least a 3.0 GPA, on top of making sure you're going to class all the time because they do class checks, on top of going out and performing at the highest of levels, doing your assignments to help us win ball games. Not every high school senior is going to be able to translate that. But if you can look in the portal and say, here's this kid that has done it at this school, and I need him over here, and I need this added to my team. It's as simple as that. I'm going with I'm going with the most experienced thing. It's kind of like, I wouldn't say comparing it to cars because if you buy a new car versus a used one, you kind of want the new car. So I'm not going to use that. I don't know what analogy I would use, but simply put, Dabo has to get with the times. Because in this sense, you're just constantly putting yourself behind the 8 ball. You're putting yourself in positions where you're going to have a redshirt freshman or a redshirt sophomore going against a senior, going against a junior, and they're going to be better because they're going to have more experience. If you asking a redshirt freshman that's never played a true down of college football or a meaningful snap to line up, just think about this. You have a defensive tackle, okay? And he's not fully developed. He's not understanding gap integrity. He's not understanding the stunts and twists that you want. And you put this boy in front of an offensive lineman that transferred from Alabama. That Alabama offensive lineman winning every single time. He's going to. If that's what's going to happen. No doubt about it. Because the disparity between talent and experience is just at an all-time different level now. And that's why the playing field is so spread out and even, because everybody at the top, the top teams, everybody got bread. Everybody got NIL money. Everybody got a car lot that can break off a couple $1,000s, tens of $1,000s, fifties of thousands of dollars, and give to a player. Everybody got that at the top. And so if you at the top, Dabo, your top 15 program, you probably won't be after this weekend. You'll probably drop somewhere near in the low teens, maybe even in the 20s. Because you're in that position, you not doing that, and you're not getting the results that these teams are getting, the Michigans, the LSUs, the Alabamas, all of these teams like that, you're not getting that. Because of that, you have to. Now, playing devil's advocate, you look at a team like Texas A&M. They got all money. Money ain't the issue for them, but they're not able to get the wins. You look at how, they played against Notre Dame to open the season, and Notre Dame beat them. Sometimes talent doesn't always win out, and that's true. But at least they have a dog in the fight because they have the players that are equipped to get it done. It might just come down to coaching in that sense. Dabo, you've proven that you're a pretty good coach. You're a championship caliber coach because you won titles. You've proven that. So now you're just being hard-headed. And my mama always said that a hard head made for a soft behind. And Nick Saban said on College Game Day that if you don't have the money to pay the players, then you out of luck. That's what he said. Paraphrasing, because he cussed. But if you don't have it, or if you're not doing it, then you're going to be out of luck because you're not going to be able to compete. You're not going to be in position. And ultimately, that's just going to put you in a bad spot. So hopefully, Clemson can be able to clean things up. They can be able to, move forward in this and continue to compete and possibly stay in the top 25 or anything like that. Dabo, you're not on the hot seat right now. But if you continue to stay stuck in your ways, like Elijah said, you will get left behind. And Clemson will go and try to look for the next best thing. And speaking of hot seats,
do you feel like he's hindering the program because he's not doing it?
It's definitely that. It's definitely that because now you're putting your program in a position where it's a lot of what ifs. If we had these players, what would we be? Would we have been able to compete better with Georgia? Because, early on in the game, I think at halftime it was 6-3, but it was just you got to the second half and everything sputtered from there because the talent level, it showed. When you have guys that are a lot better, they're gonna win. Better talent is just gonna win. That's why Travis Hunter is able to be so dominant because he's more talented than most players that he's lining up across from. That it is what it is. And that's why you have to have a dog in the fight and get the level of talent that you need out there. Now, I understand that it hurts a lot of the high school recruits that are out there. That's why you see a lot of guys that are going to G5 schools and eventually transferring up. It's changing the game. It's almost making it to where, the G5s are becoming like JUCOs. Let me go here for a year or two, put out some good tape. And then after I do them 1 or 2 years, I can go and pop up at a Power 5, get some money that takes care of my family, immediate issues, and then I go ball out on the Power 5 level. Now I can go get some life-changing money, right? And you can't really blame these kids for doing that because at the end of the day, a lot of them, this is their only way out of bad situations that they're in football. A lot of kids. Football is an escape for a lot of kids that are out there. And so Dabo is somewhat holding the program back by being hard-headed. And you can't do that because hard-headedness going to get you kicked in the butt on the field and out your office. And that's the bottom line to that. So
That's what I'm talking about. That pastor came out,
listen, man, I'm telling you. And speaking of hot seats, another coach that I don't think his job could be up, but there have been a lot of talks now. The Florida Gators falling to the Miami Hurricanes over the weekend as well. Miami beating Florida 41-17. Billy Napier, the former head coach of the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns, has been at Florida for, I believe, this is his third season now. And Florida opens the season by getting curb stomped by the number 19 team in the country. So now, do you believe that Billy Napier is on the hot seat? And do you also believe that if he can't get this thing turned around, that he'll be out of Gainesville?
Um, that's a tough call, man. And I only say that because of the schedule that they have, man. If you look at that schedule, it's very, very tough. Um, I know they opened the season up against Miami, who I think Miami is a playoff contender. So with them losing to Miami, I have nothing against that. But if Florida wins the game that they're supposed to win and probably sneak a couple in, I think the Gators will be on the right path. But I gotta, if I could just go to their schedule real fast, I want you to hear this back half of this goddamn schedule because this don't make sense for anybody. You gotta go and play Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. Now, the only game I can see them really winning is Florida State. I don't care if it was Billy Napier or Bill Belichick. At the end of the day, bro, they're not as talented as some of these other teams that they're about to play on the back half. So I just want to say I think if he wins the games that he's supposed to win and probably sneak a win that we don't expect, I don't think Billy should be fired. But if he doesn't produce and they're just getting beat like yesterday, 41-17, I think he should be cut loose.
Listen, man. I'm looking at the stat line for a lot of this. The quarterback play was not good. Graham Mertz, 11 of 20, 91 yards, a pick. DJ is it Lagway or Lagway? The backup came in. He was 3 of 6, 31 yards and an interception. So as a quarterback room, you went 14 to 26. I think that's a little over half, a little better than 50%, 122 yards. Average completion pass was 4.7 yards and 2 interceptions. Montreal Johnson, also the former Raging Cajun running back, had 11 carries for 106 yards and a touchdown. A bulk of that came on the 71-yard touchdown that he scored right before halftime. Um, but it just seemed like everything wasn't working for them. And as you move up, I say this all the time: heavy is the head that wears the crown. And as you move up, that crown get a lot heavier because your pockets got a lot fatter. So them expectations is a whole lot bigger. And so, like you said, man, like the schedule might be tough, but you have to schedule like that to get ready for when you get into SEC play. Because if you have all these cupcake games, if you have all these easy games, then you start building up a false confidence in your team. Guys, we're so good. We're averaging 40 points a game. And then you get into SEC play and you get steamrolled. And then when that happens, now your team's confidence goes completely in the trash. It plummets from there because you're not putting them in situations where they can at least go out and say, hey, we went toe to toe with Miami. They didn't go toe to toe. Miami went toe to butt. That's what happened. You feel me? So, because of that, it does put Billy in a very compromising situation. One, where he understands the expectations that are there. Now, I don't know if it was the athletic director or if it was someone that's in a high-ranking official within Florida's program, but he was on the Paul Feinbaum show, and he was saying that, Billy is a guy that they want to keep around for a very long time. And as true as that might be today, in 4 to 5 weeks, that could be completely different.
Yes.
It could be totally different because people change with the weather, bro. People are always changing, So if that is what you're feeling today, there's no guarantee that you're gonna feel the same way tomorrow. It's not always gonna be like that because you could go what? Let's see. Let's look at the top half of their schedule. So they just lost to Miami. They have Samford, so they should win that one. They're going to play Texas A&M. They're going to play Mississippi State, so that's 2 SEC games. You got UCF, and then the back half that you talked about. So with that being said, you might be getting two wins out of your first 5 games. So that means you might go into the start of SEC play at 2-3, meaning you would be 0-2 to start in SEC play. So in the game that they're going to be against Texas A&M, they're going to be at home, but then they have to go to Neyland Stadium and beat Tennessee. That's going to be in October. In the games that they got, Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a 4.5 point favorite. The money line hasn't opened for the Mississippi State game, but as of right now, Texas A&M is the favorite. What you gonna do about it? So now Billy is going to have to the pressure is on now. It's always been on because he's there in the SEC and he has that type of job that he has, but the pressure is truly on now because this is a prove it type of year. If he can get this turned around, he gonna get a nice fat extension. They're gonna give him some more money. But if he can't, it's gonna be very, very hard for me to believe that Billy Napier is going to be able to stick around in Gainesville. And it's unfortunate. Uh, he's a good guy, you know. Got a chance to cover him for a season while he was here in Lafayette. He was a great coach. He motivated a lot of guys, got some guys to be in great positions, helped them to get to the league by recruiting them. Montrell Johnson, the type of running back that he was, there was no way that kid should have been at UL. But because of the relationship that he had built with Coach Napier, he came to Lafayette for that one season, and now he's at Florida, right? So I think that right now the seat is starting to warm up. I think between him and Sam Pittman at Arkansas, those are two of some of the hottest seats there in the entire country. Do you see uh, Coach Napier and the Gators being able to kind of turn things around for the back half of the season?
No, honestly, no. Like I said, I could see him try to sneak 1 or 2 games in there, like a Kentucky, but no, because the team's not talented. I mean, we seen it against Miami yesterday. Um, you just read those stats about the quarterbacks. I mean, I just you just hope that he keeps the game close. He doesn't get blown out week in and week out because that's going to determine if he's gone or not. He doesn't have the talent. I mean, unlike Dabo, he probably tried to get in the transfer portal, but again, he just doesn't have the talent. I don't see it. I don't see it, man. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be tough. That back half of the season is really where the rubber is gonna meet the road for the team, and unfortunately, I don't think that the Florida Gators are going to be able to turn things around on the back half of the season, and I think that will then, be ultimately what gets Coach Napier packed out of Gainesville of a 3-year stint. So Florida will go and face Samford next weekend, or they will welcome Samford there into the swamp there in week 2 of the season. And so now we have talked about the Florida Gators. Now we are switching to more of a serious note to talk about a former Florida Gator. This is our Fitz Take, talking about San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Ricky Pearsall was involved in a situation. And it was an update that I'm seeing from CBS Sports where he was shot during an attempted robbery in a neighborhood that is Union Square in San Francisco. Initially, he was ruled as a serious condition and has then been ruled to fair, but he has been released from the hospital as of Sunday. The 49ers put out a statement. His mother also posted on social media saying that he was shot in the chest and it exited out of his back. And thanks be to God, it missed his vital organs. He is in good spirits. Now, according to some of the reports, according to some of the things that I've been reading, it was a 17-year-old that was attempting to rob Pearsall of his Rolex watch, and they struggled over the gun that they had that was in his hand, and both young men were shot. Both of them were transported to the hospital. So this is a very serious and unfortunate situation. Pearsall was kind of struggling to be able to get on the field, just from being healthy and things like that, dealing with things with his shoulder and things like that, and now he deals with this situation. So Elijah, I'll let you take the floor first on this one, and we'll kind of dive into what we think about this situation.
Um, it's unfortunate, honestly. Um, 17-year-old attempted robbery of a guy that just got to San Francisco. I'm not sure he's from the area, but I'm just gonna say this, man. I'm a firm believer of hate gets you nowhere. It don't, because you just when you just up thinking about something like that, and you're not putting your energy and your time to what your future can be. You're just trying to rob somebody else from what they can have, and I don't like stuff like that, man. I mean, honestly, I just think that with kids these days, they think that that's the way to go. If I don't have it, then he shouldn't have it. That's not the way things should go, man. You don't know how hard that person worked. You don't know how late nights that guy was up. You don't know the early beginnings that he had. He had probably the same beginnings that you had, and he made something out of himself with that. And you never gave him an opportunity to make money and do something on the field to at least give back to the community of San Francisco. And I feel like it was robbed of that. And speaking of stuff like that, even on a personal level, seeing guys like you, Fitz, you're trying to go out there. You got a vlog of vlogging every day till you win an Emmy. Me and you in the same field. If I was to hate on you and do something like that and just try to block your success, that's dumb of me. I don't. I mean, now that I'm secondhand to it because I'm next to you every day, I see how hard you work. I see the effort that you put in. I see the stuff that you want to be and the things that you want to be as a reporter and wherever your career takes you after that. You want why would you want to take away from somebody else because you feel like you can't do it? And that's what I feel like with kids. They're misled with that, and I don't think that that should be the future. I think in a way somebody should just turn it and tell them, look, man, you can be something too. You just have to work hard at it. And everything is timing. I mean, it may didn't happen at your time, but if you keep going, the time will happen. So, prayers up to the 17-year-old kid. I hope that he makes it out and he pulls through. I'm not sure what his status is, but I just pray that when he does pull through, that he sees that this was a crazy mistake and that he could learn from it and hopefully try to grow and learn from this. And also for the receiver as well, I hope that things go through, and even if he don't play this season, a good recovery, and then when it happens next year, I hope that he gets better from it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. First of all, thankful that Ricky is out of the hospital, and that everything missed his vital organs. For the 17-year-old, I think right now they're trying to figure out how they're going to charge him, whether it's as a juvenile or as an adult. And I think that what this is it's a failure on our communities, on our young kids, and what we are emphasizing to them, because kids now, they see it on social media and they believe, if I don't have a Rolex, if I don't have an AP, if I don't have a Maybach, if I don't have the Amiri, if I don't have all the designer things, then I'm not making it. And you factor in things like broken homes. I'm not sure what this young man's family situation might look like, but I'm just speaking in general. You look at kids having broken homes, fathers not being in their lives, and they're having male influences around them that might not be the best, and they're seeing things, and they're exposed to opportunity. Because, like, bro, where you get a gun at as a 17-year-old, and what puts it in your mind to say that I'm gonna go up to this dude and rob him of his Rolex because I want that? I think that this is a failure on that community that's around that kid. you know uh, Whoever is closest to him, whatever is the closest male figure to them, that's a failure on their shoulders, because it's their responsibilities to let him know, like, yeah, bro, if you run a Rolex, you got to work just as hard as that kid did. You got to work just as hard as Ricky did to get in that position, to be able to have that opportunity to go and buy your own Rolex. But then also, they need to be explaining to him that just because you have a Rolex, that doesn't mean everything. That having the materialistic things isn't always what it's all about. That's not always the most important thing in life. So like you said, I do hope that kid is healthy. However, he's charged of this. I hope he learns from his mistakes, and I hope he's able to grow from it. I hope Ricky is able to have a successful career there in the NFL, have a full recovery, get to play some in this season if he has that opportunity, and to go on and have a healthy life. And I just, hope that people that are watching this that have teenagers that are around them, they're letting them know you don't have to take that same route. You don't have to do what this kid did. You don't have to go and wild out, flash, crash out, whatever you want to call it. You don't have to go and do those things just to say that I want nice things, just to say that I want, better things in life. There are so many other ways, so many other opportunities and things that you can be able to do to better yourself in life. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is our take on the Ricky Pearsall situation. Put down in the comments what you think about this. This is a more serious topic situation that happens here on our show. But, just as much as we want to talk about the good things that happen, there are things in the world that happen that are bad that we have to address sometimes. So let us know what you believe about this situation. And so with that will wrap up this edition of the Fitz Take podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, continue to follow us on all our social media platforms. That'll be linked down in the description. We thank y'all so much for watching. For Elijah Nixon, I'm Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, and we'll see y'all next time. Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Fitz Take podcast. Be sure to like this video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also follow me and Elijah on our social media platforms. They will be linked down in the description. And remember, every episode of the Fitz Take podcast will air right here on the YouTube channel every Monday at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.